Hello and welcome to the Bearded Horror Review. My name is Dan, aka the Boogey Man, and on this show I'll watch a horror movie, either a classic or a new release, talk about some good points, talk about some bad points if there are any of either, give it a rating out of 10 if I remember to do it, and let you know if I think this film is worth a watch or not, in my humble opinion. And today we're going to be talking about the most anticipated horror film of the year, I think, Terrifier 3. Now, if you have been following my channel for a while, you know that I really enjoy the Terrifier franchise. I do enjoy the practical effects and the old schoolness of the franchise. I did a trailer reaction to the third film when that came out, and I was really looking forward to this. The hype was there. All the horror community was ready for this because Art the Clown, who was formally introduced to us properly in the first Terrifier film, although, you know, we got glimpses of him in the anthology series All Hallows Eve. We've been begging for a new horror icon, and here he is. We've got Art the Clown. Terrifier 1 was a showcase in practical effects, showing Damien Leone what he can do. Terrifier 2 was him expanding that and pushing the boundaries of what horror cinema can be and what practical effects can be at this time. And this film... Yes, Izzy? This film is set at Christmas.
Looking forward to the best Christmas ever, filled with fun, smiles, and laughter.
So let's talk about it. Before we carry on, guys, if you can leave a like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. It's a little thing for you, but it helps out the channel a lot, and it means a lot to me, and it would really help out. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys. So Terrifier 3, what I'm going to say now is I will be going over the plot and reviewing it, and as I've said in my previous reviews, this is a brand new one. And to be able to talk about it subjectively, I may give ever so slight spoilers. I'll try not to do any spoilers at all, but this is your warning that if you don't want to know anything about Terrifier 3, spoilers, possible spoilers. So go to the cinema, go see it, and then come back and watch the review. So Terrifier 3 is set 5 years after the events of Terrifier 2. And I'm going to say this again now as well, potential spoilers for 1 and 2 if you haven't seen them either. Essentially, Sienna, our main character, is thrown back into the lurch as 5 years later, after her encounter with Art the Clown, has another encounter with Art the Clown. It's a slasher horror movie. What do you want? Do you want a weird, complicated plot that makes no sense and seems to be second-guessing itself and contradicting itself all the time? Well, but let's not do this. So let's go on a little bit further. So Sienna has been released from a psychiatric facility. It's been 5 years since the original. She constantly is having visions of her friends, hearing things, her dead friends, hearing things, seeing Art the Clown everywhere. She is taken in by her aunt and her uncle. Her aunt and her uncle. See, I've got art on the brain. And her brother, the young man who grew up to be this very tall, skinny lad. It's crazy seeing him so big. He is in college, and it's Christmas time, and Art has decided to come back.
I saw him today. Who? How can you be sure it was really him?
There's not really much more I can say outside of that without giving anything away, if you don't want to know, like I said. This is, like I said, it's Art the Clown. What we're here for is gore and kills, and to push the boundary. And we do get more practical effects in this film. We get art. There's some great moments with Art the Clown being Art the Clown. And that's what I really like about this character. It's the physical little things that he does that separates him from every other clown killer film that you have seen. He is a silent protagonist, and it's all physical, and the mannerisms and the little things and the jokes that he does, especially around, you know, the very grotesque, disgusting moments, are great. And also the fact that he does this switch from serious to funny to serious very well. That character part of it, fantastic. The film obviously has had a bit of a step up wise when it comes to budget, so it looks less like a B-movie this time around. There is a bit more money behind the camera, or they've either, even if they didn't, they've just used it better, and that's very evident when watching the film. I don't really have many other good points to say. And I know this is kind of going to divide you guys and horror fans, but I didn't really like it. Don't get me wrong, there were some good bits in it, but I had some very noticeable downfalls. First of all, the story itself. It is not great. Damon Leone is obviously a very good special effects guy. He's really good at makeup. He's really good at gore special effects. And I believe, he has created this character of Art the Clown. And he doesn't know what to do with him. And the film very much feels like it is just being made up as it goes along. And it's trying to create this bigger story and bigger lore. But it doesn't really work. It contradicts what's happened in earlier films. It feels forced. It feels like a first draft. And it's a shame because the first film and the second film kind of had these narratives that just kind of went through. And this one feels like it is a bunch of stories slapped together, a bunch of ideas and a bunch of scenes that they had in mind, and they just put them together. And the film kind of starts 4 separate times, 3 to 4 times. It starts with one scene that's heavily predominantly been used in the trailers, and then it goes to 5 years later, and then it goes to another character, and then 30 minutes later it goes to another character, and it kind of switches gears. It doesn't really know what it's doing. There's a lot of disjointed scenes strung together by this really thin plot. And there's another problem with that. Again, spoilers if you don't want to know, but they've announced Terrifier 4. Because this one is set up for the Terrifier 4. This film ends on a cliffhanger. Not only does it end on a cliffhanger, it abruptly ends on a cliffhanger that comes very out of nowhere and left me going, what? Is that it? What? And it's a real shame. Every film in a franchise, regardless if you are making 3 at a time, 2 at a time, whatever, should still be able to be watched on its own. You shouldn't have to watch a film and it's all set up and for the payoff in the next one. This is where DC and Marvel have learnt that mistake, because they did that for a while and it got very tedious and people didn't like it. And I feel like Damon Leone's done that on this one. He has set up a future film, which is not a good thing. There's another thing that's happened with this film, which is a very big part of the Terrifier franchise, and that's the practical special effects. This is the first film in the series where Damon Leone has not done those effects himself. It's very obvious because obviously it's bigger. He's written it, he's directed it. He's got a lot to do. So he's not been able to do all the effects or, be on top of all the effects. They've been done by separate people this time, and it shows.
Who's this Santa? He's scaring my kid.
Yeah, he's scaring me too.
They do not look as good as in the last one. And I think that kind of is very much represented in one scene in particular. There are some really good bits where it's like, oh, that was funny, that was cool, that's a good idea. But there was lots of scenes where I was watching where it felt like Art the Clown was hacking at a puppet. And you can say, oh, it's B-movie, whatever. It's like, yeah, but the last one didn't look like that all the time. There was very few instances in Terrifier 2 where I felt that. And also in Terrifier 1, there was some really good stuff in Terrifier 1. And you can tell by the way that it's been shot and directed that they weren't as happy and they weren't as impressed with the practical effects. The way that the second one especially was directed, you got wide shots. You could see it was the actress, and I couldn't tell where the practical effects started and the actress started. But in this one, it is close-ups, it is quick cuts, it is very obviously puppets and prosthetics in this third one. In many scenes, you can just tell. And it's a shame that a film that is, and a franchise that is built upon its practical effects, that side let it down for me. And it's not even like I said, I can suspend disbelief when watching other films. When I watched the bedroom scene in Terrifier 2, I genuinely felt, it was visceral. I could feel it. I could feel the tension in my body. I was not having a good time. I could feel the pain of it. And in this one, it felt like a bunch of latex filled with blood and jelly in a lot of parts. And there's another thing to come with the practical effects that I have to say about this film. It is tamer than number 2. I don't know why they're doing this whole bath bag thing and oh my god, people were fainting and throwing up when watching this. If you've seen the second one, you've seen gorier stuff than in number 3. It is not as gory, the story isn't as good, and the sound design it's not great. It's kind of cheap and laughable. Like, the sound design in this, there's a scene where, spoiler, an arm is being cut. I'm not going to say why or how, but an arm is being cut, and the sound literally sounds like someone pouring water into a bath. Like, it's proper, like, gushy, bubbly noise, and you're like, that is not how sound works. That's not how that would sound. And yeah, I was really disappointed with that. No, I'm not saying that they were terrible, but they were not up to the standard of the previous film, and that's a real shame. I think Damon Leone has learned a little bit from Terrifier 2, where this film is not as long, but it still needed editing down. It's still too long. He's trying to put every idea that he's got into the films. It's very obvious because he's the creator, he's the director, producer. He's probably best boys, the grip. He's doing everything, so he has complete control of what's going on there. And there's another reason why I also think that this film is tamer. This film had a theatrical release, first in the series to get a proper theatrical release. Yeah, the other ones have since been released in the cinema. I went to that showing, but that was like a one-off after release, after they've been rated, after they've been out for a while. This is a brand new release going straight to cinema, and the ratings board will be harsher on it. So it feels like they've had to appease the ratings board. It feels tamer. It genuinely just felt tamer to me. So
You survived the most famous serial killer since Jack the Ripper.
yeah, not great, in all honesty. I can see, like I said, I enjoyed it, but it is a step down from 2. It is not as entertaining. The suspension of disbelief is harder to do. In the first one, it's in a small location on Halloween in the middle of the night. The second one, it's in relatively, like, it's set on Halloween. It ends in a relatively secluded location with hardly anyone there. And when the kills do happen, they're in places like the Halloween shop, the costume shop, where it can be passed off as, like, it's behind a locked door. Only person it can be passed off as a prop. Someone's house. While kids are running around in the streets and screaming because they're going trick-or-treating, so you might not hear all people's screams, or you might think someone's watching a horror movie. In this one, stuff happens in public.
Santa's handing out presents!
And it's very unbelievable that these things are happening, and they're also very misplaced to be in this franchise, because they're not slasher things, they're not art things really. It felt very much like, again, he had an idea and he just wanted to stick it in the film, and like I said, that's a shame, because this had a lot of potential. Like I said, it's very much written and set up for number 4, especially the ending and some of the stuff in the lore they're trying to do. It feels like it just can't coalesce with itself. It's trying really hard, but it can't stick the landing. And hopefully 4 will pick up. Like I said, it's not a terrible movie, but it is not as good as the second one, and it doesn't top it with anything. It doesn't top it with story, acting, gore, direction. They've all taken a step down, which is, like I said, it's a real shame, because Art the Clown, his characterization is so good in this. Art the Clown is the best part about the stuff. Like I said, the stuff that he's doing, the little mannerisms and the little moments that he has are fantastic. There's a particular scene where he overhears someone talking about him, and he is loving it, and he's doing all these little things that all stop, and he's like blushing. It's so funny, and it's really well done, but a lot of stuff in this felt forced, and a lot of it stuff felt contradictory to what we've seen before. I hope that they kind of rectify it with number 4, but yeah, I do still recommend to go see this film. I give it a 6 out of 10 because it was enjoyable, but it wasn't great. It was fine. So yeah, it's a 6 out of 10 from me. Have you seen Terrifier 3? Let me know down in the comments below. If you want to see more reviews, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like on this video. Like I said, it really helps out the channel and helps it grow. And it's a little thing for you, but it means so much to me. You can follow me on social media, all links down below. And yeah, until the next time, guys, happy watching.